Hello again, 5th grade. We're going to continue to add color. I did when I was off camera. I just kept adding because this, I don't want you to have to watch paint dry. If this takes quite a while, you do the same kind of thing over and over and over. And what I've done is I go along the edge, those lines we drew, the rule of thirds, this is a third and a third along here, and then this diagonal line. This diagonal line pulls your eye into the composition. Many of Julian Onderdonks have a diagonal line like that somewhere in it. And then this pulls your eye back. So I'm putting a little blue on that path as you go over the ridge because it gets cooler. As you come in the front, you can add a little more yellow to your brown path. That path doesn't have to be like a road. It can be very raggedy. You might even add a little pink to it. Pink and yellow and brown. If you mixed green with it, it would be a very interesting brown too. But that pulls that path forward. Warm colors come forward, generally speaking. They make you look at them. Cool colors sit back. So I'm adding a little bit of this warm pink to this cool blue and purple and violet. And see how that makes that come forward compared to here? That doesn't mean I won't add a little bit of pink back here to keep the local color going. You can add it all the way up. You can put a little in your sky if you want to, just a little bit. But keep it mainly in the front here. So go through and add every one of these. Now note, see the little squirrel scriggly mark I'm making? This is a quick way to color it in with colored pencil. And then I'm coming down. I'm going to blend this lighter blue that's on the edge of the ridge. And these things don't really obey anybody. They grow where they want. Bluebonnets are really, they're wild. They like to grow in very rocky areas. My brother's grown them out at our farm many times, and what he has to do sometimes is score the seeds. He rubs the seeds on rocks and then puts them in water, and that way the outside skin comes off and they will actually grow. Very hard seeds, little round hard seeds. So that's why you see so many. You might see one growing right in the middle of the path like that. They're not gonna be bound by anything. And you might put a little grass, a little bit of... Notice how I'm doing the little crosses as their leaves, if you want to indicate some of their little leaflets, you can do this. Okay, now the tops of the trees, again, it's similar to the ones we did in our earlier painted landscape. I'm doing longer squiggles with my colored pencil because you don't see individual leaves. And I'm mixing it. I first did a little bit of brown and now I'm mixing the green. I don't want it to be too greeny because it will shout, "Look at me." Because green, even though it's a cool color, green is a bossy color, as I have discussed many times. So when you add green, be very, very gentle with it. It's a lovely color, but it takes over all the other colors. So just keep that in mind. You will see a green thing. It's one of the longest light colors. I don't understand all that too much, but I know it's true. So don't add too much green. I'm going to add a little bit of purple to my one side of my trunk. I've decided the light's coming this way. So I'm going to add purple shadow on one side of the trunk. Okay, so you can do the whole thing in colored pencil. This is not quite finished if you want to do that. Now I'm going to trade it back for my watercolor pencil one. And we're going to look at that. This is watercolor pencil. And I've done a lot more work on it. I spent quite a bit of time on it. If you do this well, I imagine it will take you some time. But it'll be a beautiful little work of art if you really work hard. I'm going to add a little bit of green to the top of my trees up here. Now look, the scribble marks are much longer. And this is why I really suggested that you practice doing trees. The outside shapes of trees in Texas are kind of raggedy a lot of the time because the weather is it's unpredictable, and the crowns of the trees grow kind of irregularly, especially way out in the countryside. Okay, now I've got all kinds of trees and bushes and shrubs that I've drawn with watercolor pencil. Now, if you want to just stay with the colored pencil, you are welcome to do that and keep doing that until you're finished. The middle ground, remember, you just do these little scribble marks. I'll do it real slowly. Now, if you do them all in a little row, it's going to look kind of silly. So you kind of want to vary it. I'm going up and down and up and down and up and down. See how I'm doing that? And then add color until you've got it. Okay, that's our colored pencil. Whoops, I got some other paint on it. Okay, this is a different way to do it. Once you've got your watercolor pencils done, what you can do is take a brush. Now, you don't want to add too much water to this. You could tape it down, but this is heavier paper. If your paper is not really heavy, you might want to tape the top part down and the bottom part, because as you all know, what happens to paper if you put water on it. If it's really good watercolor paper, a lot of times it'll just stay put. But if it's not, it will buckle and rock and roll. So you need a heavy cardstock or a real watercolor paper to add water like I'm going to do. Now, the key with the watercolor pencils is don't lose all your beautiful lines, because with line you can make the illusion of a plant or a tree, or you can totally make something look different with the same color by varying your line, which we learned in our other landscape. So I'm going to take, this is a 3/4 inch brush. It's an angled brush, and I'm going to use this one for the sky. But you could use any ordinary flat brush, a nice wide one, a little bit narrower one. A flat brush is really best. But what you're basically doing, you don't want to paint a lot, because remember, if you go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth on something, what happens? It'll pick the paint up. So what you're really doing is you're just putting water on the paint, loosening it a little bit. See how that's just barely any water at all on that watercolor pencil, and look how it's making it loosen up and turn into paint. And you want it really delicate. I don't want to go back over that very much at all, because it will pull that paint up. So now my sky is done. I'm going to go make sure my brush doesn't have any blue in it, and I'm going to make these clouds. I've put a little yellow in the clouds and a little pink. Okay, see how quickly that's done? Now I'm going to put a little bit of blue water on the purple mountains, a little on the sky. See how I'm just dotting it on the watercolor. If you do it very much more than what I'm doing, you're going to end up with a mess. You just are adding water. See how quickly that gives it the painterly quality? And then in the front, you can even dot it. You don't have to brush it all because you don't want to brush your pretty work. See how I'm just dotting it? And then all of a sudden, you have a painted painting. All right, have fun, experiment, make several copies so you can do this over and over and practice. All righty, bye-bye now.